So anyways, the only thing on my to-do list for today, this Saturday, is to learn the uh, NeoVim undo tree. The reason why I want to learn this is because typically what I do if I'm working on a project is I'll, if I'm making a new feature or whatever I'm doing, is I'll make a new branch. Then, I might make some commits. And if I need to look back at the commits, you know, I can look back at the commit history and be like, oh, I made this change. And then what if I might possibly want to go back to a previous commit or whatever, right? But what if I didn't make a commit and it was while I was editing the file? How do I know? How do I go back to a state I was in my editor? And Vim has a really clever way of doing this. It basically, in a node tree, it saves every change you've made. And you can look back at that changes and go back to wherever you were. So you'd call this the undo tree. And with this undo tree, first let me explain how a linear undo tree would work, because this is the best way, the easiest way to explain it. Is in a linear undo tree, you would open up a file, then you'd make a change, that's a new node. You make another change, that's a new node. And then you undo, it would go back to the previous node, redo, it would go back to the node that you were on before you did the undo, right? That's just a linear tree. But in Vim, when you undo, it goes back to the previous node, and as soon as you make a change, it creates a new branch. Okay, so I'm going to try to explain this the best that I can. I have this plugin undo tree for Vim, and whatever's between the less than greater than is the current state. Whatever's between the curly braces is the next redo state. Whatever's between the brackets is the latest state. This is whatever's between the equal symbols is the diff marker. I'll show you that as well. It's kind of cool. S is the save state. Capital S is the last save state. So just watch this in the left while I edit, and then I'll explain it later. First, I'm just going to show you what's going to happen linearly, and then I'll show you what happens not linearly. So I'm pretty sure it's whenever I go to normal mode, it'll make a new node. So 1 node, 2 node, 3. And look, we can go back. When I click on enter, I can click on the node. We can see this is the current node, the one that's in between the less and greater than. This is the redo that we can go to, whatever's between the brackets. This is the, they call it the latest state. So we can go through what we did. This is when we opened it. This is the change we made. This is the next change, and this is the next change. If I do a U, I go back. And if I do a U again, I go back again. If I do Control R, I can redo. And then I can redo again and, go to the top. And that's that. Now, what happens when I undo and then edit, that's when branching occurs. And when you branch, basically what happens is if I were to undo once, it would take the topmost node, which is the one we're on, put that as the left branch. And then it would take everything between the topmost node and the node you undid to, well, including the node you undid to, and branch it to the right. And everything to the left is like considered like the main area, the final the thing that you committed to, if that makes sense. I don't know the word to explain that. So if I undo once and then I start to make an edit, let's say right 4 here, what should happen is I should have one node to the right and one node to the left. The node to the right should be what we were at before we undid and made a change. So, yep, that's exactly what happened. This is where we were at. We wrote 3, and then we undid and went to here. And then now we have the 4. So we can see that every leaf that's to the left is like basically our current state. And if you follow it along, you can see that that's That's as if you never made any undos, basically. But if I do make an undo, if I just press, now this is something important to note, if I press U, I'm actually right here. So if I'm here and I press U, where do I go to? Well, I'm actually going to here. I don't know why it's not updating that correctly, but I'm going to there. It's still, there we go. I just have to move my mouse for it to update. So let's do a redo real quick just to show that. So I'm at the leftmost branch. Now if I press U, I'll go down the leftmost branch. And then I press U again. I go down the leftmost branch again. I don't know why it takes a while to update, but it does. Maybe I have to like toggle it on and off. And then if I do U again, now I'm, at the original. So it always keeps following. When you do Control U, Control R, if you do U and Control R, it follows the leftmost branch. So I just want you to see that. Now, imagine I'm here and I do, 5. I start making a few branches. 6, 7. Now you can see that I have a bunch of nodes right here. If I undid a few times, let's say I undid 1, 2, like 3 times, well, what's going to happen is it's going to take, say if I'm here and I undo 1, 2, 3, it's going to take all of this, branch it out to the right. It's going to take this, branch it out to the left, and then take whatever changes I made and apply it to this that's branched off to the left, and then take this as multiple, as one branch to the left with all these nodes. So watch what happens there. So undo, undo, undo. Then I'm going to make my change. What I was on 7, 8. And we can see that that's what happens. So we have our, this should be 7 here. Yep. And then when we were at 7, we decide to undo. And we decide to undo again. And then we were here. And then we went to 8. Now, the cool thing about this that I want to point out is that if you were just using Vim normally, like I showed you before, is that every time I undo, I have to refresh this. Maybe if I just do E, oh, that did not help at all. That made it worse. So if I just do undo, like I said before, it just follows the leftmost branch. And that, might kind of confuse you because you're like, well, why can't I get back to this previous change I made? Yeah, you can't if you're just using U and Control R, but you can if you're using undo tree. So that's kind of the advantage of undo tree is you can see all these extra nodes and you can go to anywhere, like whatever change you made, you can see everything, which is super nice. So let's say I am back here at this rightmost node. I can change, I want to go back to here. And I can do that, and I can make changes here. Now, if I was to undo from here and go back and make a change, what's going to happen? It's going to do the exact same thing and make another, branch to the right and then branch to the left. The same thing. So watch what's going to happen if I do that. So if I undo, what number was I on? 8, so I'm on 9 now. So if I click this, and then I undo, then I make my change, it'll make one branch to the right, one branch to the left. Bada bing, bada boom. And this kind of visually shows it. So you can see that all the branches to the left are like shoved in the corner here just to visually show kind of what's happening. So yeah, that's the undo tree. Very helpful. So you can go back to whatever changes you made whenever. And also Vim has this thing, if I can show you this as well, help. It's earlier and later, I believe was what the commands are called. Yep, earlier and later. And you can go back. So instead of pressing undo, however many times you press undo, you can do undo n for like that many of times you want to go back. And you can do actually a number of seconds. So you can go do, I want to go back this number of seconds. I know about 30 minutes ago or 10 seconds ago, I think I did this. well, then you can check out what happened that long ago. And you can do the exact later is pretty similar too. Go to the newer text state, and you can go forward in that many of seconds or minutes, or go forward in that many hours. That'd be kind of crazy to go forward that many hours. This also lets you, so it does, undo tree does remove everything that's saved about the changes you made once you exit, but there is a way to save it permanently. I'm not going to show that, but it is possible just if you want to do that so that you can. So we can show just here, I'll do help too so that we can see that as well, along with our undo tree. So let's just, try it out. So let's do earlier. Let's go 2 down, see where that takes us. And the interesting thing about this, as you can tell, is this kind of disregards the leftmost node like undo does. So, yeah, that's the interesting thing about using the earlier command, is it just goes back to 2 states before. So that's, 1, 2. And that's also really nice. So let's go back. I don't know if there's, what is the latest? Later, was there a command to go to the most recent? There probably is. Don't know what it is. Go to the newer state with count repeated that many times. So let's just go back to the top, and let's say, oh, well, I know this says, let's refresh this so we know exact. It says about 4 minutes ago. Let's go back 7 minutes ago. So, whoops, I'm on the wrong undo tree. Now I'm seeing the undo tree for that, and I don't want to see that. So let's get out of that. So let's say I wanted to go to earlier about 7 minutes ago. Well, that's 7, I'm sorry. Earlier 7 minutes, so we'd have to do, my bad, EA7M. And that takes us actually back to the original because the timing might not be correct. Let's see. Seven, 9. 6 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago. This was about 7 minutes ago. Let's EA7M. I don't really know why it takes us back that far, because according to the manual, go to older state about n minutes before this one. Well, I guess that might make sense, because if this is 4 minutes ago, 7 minutes from that would be 10 minutes ago. Okay, so let's think about this a little bit deeper than this. Let's go back 2 minutes from here. So let's see what that does. 2 minutes from where we were at, around 2 minutes. Okay, that makes sense. So that's around 6 minutes ago. Okay, from the top most the left node. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I think that's it. Hopefully you got some use out of this video. All right.